I'm Mike Gambardella, and thanks for joining us for the newest episode of Pat's Latest. The Super Bowl is here, and while it's not featuring the Patriots, it used to for about, 2 decades. The Chiefs and Eagles will figure out tonight who will hoist the Lombardi trophy, but plenty of news still coming out about the New England Patriots with a busy Super Bowl media week concluding, and several pundits still discussing the hiring of Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels, and what a season that Drake May really did have, and what that means both for the Patriots last season and what that means moving forward and the moves that the Patriots themselves could potentially make. We start off with Ian Rappaport talking about Drake May and giving him an odd nickname, I should say, Mythical May. And I think this comes from Rappaport really saying that Drake May has developed this mythical reputation and birthed more from the draft last year. This time, or in April of last year, I should say, we knew the number one and two picks were going to be Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, that Chicago and Washington were pretty much locked in, and that's how it was going to go. And the question was at 3, would the Patriots actually take Drake May? And Rappaport went so far as to say that teams called the Patriots a lot, that there were offers, and that New England seriously considered moving off of that spot and not taking Drake May, which, looking back, would have been a terrible decision. There were reports that there were offers that would just knock your socks off, that you wouldn't believe how much teams were willing to go up and get Drake May. Now that he's been out there and shown what he could do, and Rappaport referenced that, the team surrounding him was not up to par. And that's why you see a 4-win team that's now back drafting number 4 overall the next season. And the Patriots, again, have made the right move. And I think this speaks the most to, one, what Drake May was able to do on the field with an underperforming offensive line, with offensive weapons that are not at the level of other teams in the NFL right now. But now that we're seeing the media rounds, that people talking about Drake May and Drake May himself, whether it's been at the Pro Bowl, being mic'd up, going on different shows, he is showing that he is a step above where other players are at his age and specifically at his position. If the NFL draft featured Drake May for 2025, say he didn't come out last year, say he had an extra year and stayed in, he would likely be the number 1 overall pick this year. So the Patriots, again, can hang their hat on that. And as they head into free agency, into the trade market, they, again, point to what other teams do not. There may be only, say, half of the league that is established in their quarterback for at least the next 3 years, and maybe only 10 teams or less that can say for the next 5 to 8 years, who your QB1 is going to be, barring injury, and he's only going to get better year in and year out. What that actually ends up looking like, we'll see. But again, that media pundits, that NFL members, that NFL players, coaches, everyone is taking note that Drake May is for real, and this mythical reputation that he has hopefully continues to trickle down into potential free agents that could make their way to the New England Patriots as well. While we might be a little ways, that March 12th date of free agency starting, we can talk a little bit more about trades, and one we talked about in just the second episode ever of Pat's Latest just a few weeks ago was the potential of Tyreek Hill. Now, again, this was a joke probably 3 weeks ago, and then a report from Jeremy Fowler at that time stated that Tyreek Hill would potentially be on that trade market. He had the flame out at the end of the season. He was very frustrated and went off about how he wasn't going to be doing this and not interested in potentially coming back to the Dolphins. And the report from Fowler said, I believe it was an NFC executive personnel, saying that the Patriots should absolutely go after him and that the interdivisional trades were not as rare. Now, Tyreek has come out and apologized for that postseason remarks, and went so far as to apologize to Tua Tagovailoa and the fans, and saying he was frustrated and he'd been through a lot this year. Revealed that the wrist injury that he had to work through all season would actually require surgery. So explain why he had one of the lowest statistical seasons of his career, not to mention the Tua Tagovailoa injury, so without him as well, and the fact that Tyreek Hill has 2 years left on his deal. Now, is this posturing and trying to get back in good graces? Potentially, but it's a step in the right direction, I think, for the Miami Dolphins, and throws more cold water on the ideas of these trade scenarios. Now, again, as these players come up, whether it is Cooper Kupp or DK Metcalf, we'll talk through why and why not these scenarios may come to fruition. At this time, and again, it would have been very, very rare for that AFC East trade to come to a head, and the Patriots would have had to pay top dollar or through draft capital at the very least. But don't be thinking that Tyreek Hill is catching passes from Drake Maye anytime soon, unless it's potentially next year's Pro Bowl. Moving on, we also have the debate that rages on, and a little bit more these days because of what the Chiefs are doing, and kind of what we're seeing around social media is who is the best tight end ever. And Antonio Gates going into the Hall of Fame, finding out that he did get that call, and after a year of not receiving it, who is that GOAT of the tight end position? And it gets more of a microscope because of the Super Bowl here today. To go into a few stats in the Gronk versus Kelsey debate is starting tonight when Travis Kelsey takes the field, when that ball is kicked off, they will both have played in 5 Super Bowls. Puts them on fairly even footing. So what do the rest of the stats look like? Gronk actually has 3 less receptions than Kelsey does right now, with a game behind, or ahead, I should say, but does have 14 more yards. Not much to say, and Kelsey likely will be involved in the passing game as the top option for Patrick Mahomes. But to catch up to Gronk, he'd have to catch 3 touchdown passes tonight. Not out of the realm of possibility, and could potentially, if he did do that, give him Super Bowl MVP honors, something Gronk never did. For me personally, and I know this is worn with, having Pat's latest put up in that corner over there, Gronk does something that Travis Kelsey does not, and that is he is involved in the run game and in blocking. That is what the tight end position is about. George Kittle will stand in a short box and scream it at you. Not to say that Travis Kelsey does not do it, but is not of his forte. He's never going to be regarded as one of the best blocking tight ends of all time. He's someone who is serviceable when needs it, is, magical with his hands and his creativity and what the Chiefs really do and bring to the offense in that scheme, but that's not in his skill set. And for me, that really changes the dynamic, especially if you look to the throwbacks of the Mike Ditkas and the players of the past. Being able to do both those things at a high level put Gronk ahead of just about everybody else. Now, could we see other guys start to step up to that? And could Kelsey actually continue to do more? I don't think his career is done at this point either. He can continue to play if he wishes to do so. And if he can rack those counting stats up, could this debate continue to get further? And I think that actually segues nicely here for us, because with that Super Bowl going on, there's the picks of who's got what, and this Eagles team is probably the toughest challenge that the Chiefs will have faced in a Super Bowl outside of the loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when Gronk actually gets the win over Kelsey, and that another feather in his cap for that debate. But I think, again, how can you bet against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs? They've done it 2 years in a row, and I understand the shortcomings of this team, and, only won close games, and, found ways to squeak it out in the end. And I think if this were just a 1-year thing, there would be a lot of questions about that and be like, could they do this? And, is that enough to actually go out and win games in the NFL and be consistent? But because of what this team now has done for an extended period of time, I think they already had the dynasty moniker after going back to back. This is now furthering the aura around them, what they're going to look like after this game, win or lose. They're back in the Super Bowl. Again, the losses hurt the Patriots in their dynasty cases. It didn't look great when you lose the 2 to the Giants, when you lose to the Eagles, but you're able to rebound and come back. The Chiefs have already proven to do that, capable, because they did it from the Tampa Bay loss against Tom Brady. I think, again, Philadelphia, the defense is better than Kansas City. Well, Kansas City might actually have the number 2 defense in the league, in my humble opinion, and one that I think is going to give Jalen Hurts some serious issues. The difference is he can rely upon the most dynamic offensive player in the game in Saquon Barkley. The backfield for the Chiefs is banged up. Isaiah Pacheco is not the same from what he was last year, and he's still coming back from injury. And Kareem Hunt has continued his career very admirably, but is not the same player he was 3 years ago. So the Chiefs will have to kind of create the run game for themselves. And Patrick Mahomes, who'd been kind of mothballed as a runner throughout the year, has shown that he still has that ability, and expect him to use that as well. I would expect a close game. No surprise. Even, Philly maybe jumping out to an early lead, but Mahomes and crew, I'm sure, will somehow find a way. It's just happened too many times, and I'm sure a lot of people and fans felt the same way watching the Patriots, especially maybe during that Rams Super Bowl, where it's like, you got to be kidding me. How did they keep doing this, right? And stepping up that defense that was so unheralded and goes and shuts down this high-powered, unit. Could we see the same thing? I do not think to that standard, because the rules even since then have changed to favor the offenses. So I do expect some fireworks, but I do expect the Chiefs and Mahomes to get it done at the end of the day. And that dynasty debate will continue to rage, because now the Chiefs will have something that the Patriots do not, and that is a three-peat. It is unprecedented. It's never been done before. Again, they will still have to go out and win a couple more Super Bowls to get to the Patriots level. But again, there's no stopping this train. There was nothing stopping it for the Patriots until Brady and then Belichick decide to leave. I think it could be reversed. Everyone for the Chiefs should be back next year, win or lose. Andy Reid is already committed to being back next year. But in 2 years after that, if he decides to retire, who comes in after him to, be with Mahomes in that scenario? It's going to be very interesting. And I was asked earlier this week, are you rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles? And I said, no, I can't root for the Eagles, especially after watching them in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. And I do find myself with a certain level of respect for what the Chiefs have done as an organization to get to this point, to even be in the conversation of a three-peat. And I welcome the dynasty debate about which is better. And I think right now it's a healthy one. I think it gets a little interesting should the Chiefs actually pull it off tonight. I do expect them to do so, and then let the debates continue to rage on. And I'm sure we'll be back for more of that Brady versus Mahomes and who the true GOAT is at the end of the day. We want to hear from you and what you think is the winner of the game. We want to hear what's the winner of the dynasty debate, the GOAT debate, the Gronk versus Kelsey. Get in the comments and let us know. Let us know who you think we should end up trading for, and what Drake Maye is going to mean to this team for the next 5, 10, 15 years. Sound off in the comments. Please subscribe for the channel. Give us a like if you like what you hear, and we'll be back for more news with you on Pat's Latest. Fight on, Foxborough.